Once upon a time, in a far-off land known as Russia, lived a mighty grand prince named Vasily III and his beautiful grand princess Elena Glinskaya. They loved each other very much, so much in fact that on August 25th, 1530, they had a sweet baby boy named Ivan. Sadly, out hunting 3 years later, Vasily would discover an infection on his hip. With the curtains closing early on his life, he'd fulfill his dream of becoming a monk before dying. One fateful December night, and he passed, leaving Elena as the Russian regent until Ivan could grow into a proper heir. Let's have Ivan tell us a bit about that now.
Hey everyone, Yvonne here. Welcome to my Draw My Life, or my childhood at least. So basically, after my dad died, my mom became regent and really got things moving. My uncle Yuri kept challenging my right to the throne, so my mom just threw him in the dungeon. Pretty sure he starved to death there. And my other uncle, well, he was just straight up killed. Sadly, in 47, my mom got poisoned by one of those boyar bastards, and they just started walking all over me. I even had trouble getting food in my own home. Sure is one way to treat the air. Anyway, it wasn't all bad. I had a lot of fun throwing dogs off my roof. Their splat was just so satisfying. And eventually, when I was 17, I officially became Grand Prince, but I didn't like that title, so I claimed the title of Tsar. It's just like how Caesar was emperor. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Garrison Keeler here, and I'm here to tell you a few fun facts about Ivan the Terrible. A month after his coronation, he married Anastasia Romanov. She was his other half, but she alone could not advise him. That's why in 1548 he created a chosen council, an informal advising body. In the following 2 years, he'd do a lot more for the country, implementing his own law codes, or as they'd call it in Russia, the Sudebnik. With the help of his friend, Priest Sylvester, the Domostroy would be created, or as I like to call it, the Domestic Commandments. The year after, he'd go on to have a few skirmishes with the Tatars. Once the Tatars were pushed back to the city of Kazan, his troops would go on to dig tunnels and blow up their water source. But he'd take a moment to pray with his troops before dealing the final blow. With a mighty roar of, "God's with us," 100,000 soldiers, led by Prince Alexander Shwesky, rushed the city, slaughtering all those who stood against them. After drinking some holy water, Ivan the Terrible would hop into battle, just in time for the palace siege. Khan Yadigar Mohammed had fled, but when he was eventually found, Ivan showed him mercy, choosing to not punish him due to his ignorance of Russia's power. Now, to a commercial break. Don't you hate it when the good years are over? When the last great thing you did was invade Livonia? When in the span of 4 years you lose your wife, son, half-wit brother, and religious leader of your country? You know what? Problem is, the stress. Moscow, you can't keep running this country. Take a load off at Alexandrovskaya Sloboda. We got hunting, relaxing, more hunting. While you're at it, just take a leave of absence from the throne. Act now, and we'll even throw in the Oprichnina. Always hated those boyars and wanted revenge? Now's your chance, and with death monks too. Call 1565 Hate Boya. 1565 Hate Boya. Who knows? Maybe in 5 years, you'll get a letter saying Novgorod is siding with Poland, where you'll immediately attack them and alternate between impaling and viciously raping.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Oh, I didn't see you there. So, for the next part, I will be doing a dramatic reading from Ivan the Terrible. about the slaughter of Novgorod. To give you a bit of background first, as you heard in the last segment, Ivan received a letter that said that Novgorod had sided with Poland in the war. Ivan decided that he would show no mercy at all. He would destroy every town, city on his way to Novgorod, and then he would proceed to destroy Novgorod as well. Of course, first he would his soldiers would arrive before him, creating a high blockade around the city so that no one would escape. Churches would be locked down so they couldn't be used as sanctuaries for safety. Monks would be allowed to leave. As to what happened to the people, on page 160 of Ivan the Terrible by Henry Troyet. Starting the next day, Ivan briskly set about the task of bringing justice to Novgorod. Every day in the great square, 1,000 inhabitants were brought before him and his son, notables, merchants, or ordinary citizens. No interrogation, no hearing of witnesses, no pleading, no verdict. Simply by virtue of the fact that these people lived in Novgorod, the accursed city, they were guilty. To further perfect the punishment, husbands were tortured in front of wives, mothers in front of children. The oprichniki flogged their victims with knouts, broke their limbs, cut out their tongues, slit their nostrils, castrated them, roasted them over slow fires. Then, bleeding and broken, the poor wretches were tied by the head or feet to sleighs, which sped over the snow toward the Volkhov, to a place where even in the depths of winter the river remained open, where they were flung into icy water, whole families at a time, wives with their husbands, mothers with their babies at their breasts. Those who rose to the surface were dispatched with boat hooks, lances, and axes by the oprichniki in boats. The methodical slaughter lasted for 5 weeks. Luckily, Pskov didn't have to face the same destruction that Novgorod did. They knew that Ivan was coming after what happened in Novgorod, so they decided to, really do everything they could for him when he came. They were extremely kind, offered him food and such. The thing that actually really saved them, though, is monk Nicholas. He was an anchorite, and the thing he did was when he met Tsar Ivan in the church, he offered him some meat, and Ivan responded, "I am a Christian. I do not eat meat during Lent." In which Nicholas responded, "You do worse. You feed on human flesh and blood, forgetting not only Lent, but God himself." He then prophesied that if the Tsar even touched a hair on a single child in Pskov, that he would be struck down by thunderbolts from heaven. And there just happened to be a storm at the same time. You could say it was a miracle, and Pskov was saved, and Ivan returned to Moscow. Hey Ivan, it's just your boyar here, looking to talk.
What do you want?
So, there's this King Stefan Bathory guy, and he's making advances on our land. I'm thinking either you or Ivan Ivanovich should lead the troops, morale and stuff.
Sounds like you just want my family out of power. Get out of my face.
Also, we should let criminals repent by joining our Siberian expedition.
Oh, sure, sounds great. Send Ermac and Koltso. They're pretty scummy guys.
Good talk. Father, how could you attack my wife with such savagery? She did nothing to you.
You dare speak to your Tsar in such a fashion? I'm sure you're just another of those Polish rats looking to take my power away. I heard the plan from the boyars, and it's not gonna happen. I went out and I saw a star. It told me my death wasn't far. I don't care about the pain in my spine. I can't let Fyodor and the Ruhr kid line. I might be dying, but I have to do something. My blood is rotten and doctors can do nothing. I mean, if I die, oh well, but I need some prayers to not go to hell. Travel across the land, visit monasteries. I repent to show them I'm not scary. I get sorcerers, magicians, and astrologists. I can't just keep sorry like an apologist. These magic men tell me when I will die, but I'll take each of their heads if it's just another lie. They say I'll die March 18, 1584. It's the 17th and I got energy for more. Time to celebrate by playing me some chess. But my tongue is growing thick, I'm running out of breath. Man, is this the end? Well, I'm out of time to spend.